basically speaking, I mean, this represents us to a sense. All right. I think most of us hold at least one of these, maybe a couple, maybe all of them. I actually hold all of them, but you know, some of you guys hold all of them. That's not the point. Let's go ahead and play this. You know, while people kind of filtering in, we talk about the XRP Army, Algo Army, XDC, HBAR, Quant, Stellar, IOTA, Boilet Mash it, stick it in a stew. Yeah, that's right. When the utility run hits, I don't know about you, but I might actually try to, like, you know, learn some of these moves. You know, why not? Learn some of these moves, right? That was kind of cool. Not too bad. All right. Of course. So that's pretty much it. Thanks for tuning in. That's all we have. No, God, are you kidding me? You think I would do that? Heck no. The moment you've been waiting for as far as XDC. So on the 24-hour chart, it's up 16.44%. And look at that, guys. I mean, are we going to break to the 9-cent mark? And you got to keep in mind, even with the pullback for this particular asset, XDC, the Zinfin network, been current since last year below 2 cents. So for a lot of you guys that made that entry point, this was at least a 4x. That is not too shabby. Now, if you recognize that this is generational wealth, future generational wealth, well, nobody's going to tell you what to do. People will share their strategies. I saw, like, what one of you guys asked, do you take profits at a 2x, a 4x, 10x, whatever, right? You got to do what's best for you and your family. For me, XTC is one that I continue to DCA into, just because I might not have hit all my goals of XDC when it was, like, for instance, 2 cents and 3 cents. I continue to DCA. I'm not going to beat myself up over it based on some of these prices, but you love to see what's happening with XDC. Smash that like for some XDC. We're going to jump into what we actually have. And with that said, I want to share this with you guys just to kind of start things off. This is very cool. I'm now, I guess you could say subscribed. I'm not subscribed. I am following this guy. And by the way, have you guys seen what's going on with Twitter lately? Other than just, you know, being X, right? So they are completely, you know, going full throttle with not just the rebranding, but how some things are worded. And basically speaking, instead of retweeting, have you guys noticed it's reposting, you know? And when you don't tweet anymore, you post. You know, these are all the types of, like, language I would use in the past when I had a forum, you know, hey, post on the forum, repost on the forum. So you can see where they're going. Anyway, let's get back to the topic of XDC. Utility to the moon. This guy does a really good job of his XDC coverage. He says why XDC might be pumping instead of XRP. Shout out to Wade Teamer for the insight. And we have, of course, pointed out numerous times now, at least twice, right? March 20th, ISO 222 went live. XDC was the one of the 3 X's that did very, very well. You know, July 20th, right? The signing into law of the electronic trade documents bill, going from a bill to an actual act, right? And then we also know that September 20th is the next big date, right? Because this will be put into actual, like, effect, you know, where, you know, worldwide trade, it will be implemented, if you will, right? We'll see what happens with that. And, you know, I think it's a perfect case of not just buy the rumor, sell the news, but it's literally proven itself, right? So for me personally, and I'm not telling you guys what to do, because I never give you financial advice, but for me, I'm loading up on XDC because I see where we're going with this. And I know I'm not the only one who sees it this way. Let's go ahead and play this. Just a quick little short video. Very well done. Minute and a half. We'll come back and give you some more of that XDC. Thanks for being here. Please smash that like. Here we go.
Why is it that XDC and not XRP or Stellar Lumens continues to have such a crazy run? I've been asking myself that question, and I think a lot of XRP holders have been doing the same, considering XRP did get legal clarity from the lawsuit. So they're wondering, why is XRP not running the way it should, with regards to price, of course. And I think DHN Crypto on YouTube may have found the answer. He posted a short clip on Twitter, and I figured I'd share with you. It has to do with XDC's use case. Take a listen.
Something I was thinking about, when you compare a project like XDC to an XRP or even a Stellar Lumens, one barrier that XRP and XLM have when it comes to payments is that people still want cash. And that's a really big barrier for adoption, is getting people to feel safe with a digital transaction. With trade finance, you don't have that problem. So what I'm seeing is I'm putting all this information together is XDC kind of has a ramp to adoption here.
I thought that was a really good point, so I figured I'd share with you guys. If you want to check out the whole video, go to the YouTube channel here and give it a watch.
Right. So, you know, what are some other ones that we know of where you can use fiat basically, and, you know, if anything gets converted. Now, before, this is the same guy that we showed a while back when ISO 222 went live. He used XDC as collateral to send an ISO 222 message. Now, we also know in regards to Quant, QNT, you can actually use fiat to pay for the annual licenses and so on. And for some people are saying that diminishes the use case of the token. It gets converted into QNT. So that's another example of the, as the saying goes, the on-ramps to fiat. We're going to jump into the next part of what we have. And basically speaking, you know, it could just end there with just a quick segment, right? But glad to show that. And if anything, follow utility to the moon with the number 2 on crypto Twitter if you happen to use Twitter. Another thing I'm going to show you guys here in a bit is actually officially from Zenfin. So let's go ahead and jump into that. And here it is. And like you see, it mentions a few key things here. I'm going to come back into the frame. I'll turn on some branding once again. And, you know, this was, of course, retweeted, but again, it's officially from Zenfin. So it states, here's a guide for all major corporates, shipping companies, banks, and other liquidity providers who want to go M-letter compliant. Now, we always talk about, well, what particular tokens are ISO 222 compliant? Well, been there, done that. But what about M-letter compliant? What exactly is that all about? And why is that such a big deal? Well, of course, we covered in some deep dives about M-letter, and you're more than welcome to check out our video section. That's why we use that as a reference for you guys, you know, a library, a catalog, literally picture it that way, a library of research. So, yeah, M-letter compliant with XDC Trade Network integration with, and if you're wondering about these guys, the IMDA SG, they are the Infocom Media Development Group, I believe. All right, not exactly what it's called, but they state that they drive the transformation of Singapore's tech, media, and communication landscapes of architects of their digital future. Now, 36,000 followers on that one. Nothing to, you know, dismiss or take lightly. I'm going to blow this up for you guys. And in the process of loading it up, you're going to see some things that was reported literally, I believe, today or yesterday. So actually it was yesterday. It gives you a few key things here. And like it says, unveiling M-Letter's potential in international trade with Trade Trust XDC network partnership. And let me just double check to see if that's big enough for you guys. Thank you so much for being here and ticking up to the 50s. Try to get into the 60s. Please smash that like. It says it's a step-by-step guide to secure trade document verification. At the end of the day, for people that are like dismissing XDC, which I don't understand why people still do that, there's a difference of, you know, utility in motion and the concept of future utility. With XDC, we do see a strong amount of not necessarily utility in motion yet, but when we talk about stocks, crypto, you name it, it is all about supply and demand. There's a tremendous amount of supply and demand for what XDC brings to the table. Again, let's get into this. The Trade Trust ecosystem developed by the Infocom Media Development Authority, IMDA, that's what it means, my bad, in Singapore has become a game changer in international trade. And this is, of course, the key areas to pay attention to if you were not following this or not aware of it. It's all right. So they've gone ahead and partnered with XDC. Bottom line, Trade Trust introduces groundbreaking features that enhance document authentication and bolster confidence among business worldwide. Now, before we get more into this outline, I want everybody to understand, if you are thinking this is all something that sounds good, but this is not the actual token utility being used. And to a degree, I might agree with you. But towards the end of the outline, we will have some actual info in regards to the actual token utility and how this gets all tied in, because let's face it, it's a great question. So yes, this bolsters confidence among businesses worldwide. The collaboration between Trade Trust and the XDC network introduces a new era of international trade with emulator and a pivotal component as blockchain tech continues to revolutionize global trade. That's the whole key thing, global trade. It's not just like when some people, not a lot of people, hear the concept of global trade. It's like you want to throw the concept into one basket. It doesn't really work that way. But if anything, this solution is monumental, providing a real, there's real problems out there, as we know, right? When it comes to supply chain and logistics and so on. If you can have something which make everything more efficient, isn't that the beauty behind all of it? When we talk about blockchain, distributed ledger technologies, and so on, we talk about the future concepts. But if supply chain breakdown is literally at our front door since, probably even before 2020, but that was the highlight, right? When COVID happened. So tackling the problems that are literally right there at our front door, or right in front of our shipping docks, if you will, right? Again, XDC is one of those solutions to a big problem. Again, guys, supply and demand. Within this ecosystem, the concept of emulator, model law on electronic transferable records emerges as a transformative element. Now, some of you guys that may watch our show, maybe you're that type of guy, you're like, I just want to see what's going on with these crazy pumps. I'm not interested into the knowledge and so on. And I would say that is such a shame, because you know what? If you understand how big this is, well, you might not even be one of those type of persons where you want to swing trade this every day. I'm just throwing that out there. Do what you got to do. It says this multi-layered approach integrates Trade Trust document authentication capabilities with the XDC network's efficient blockchain solutions. Again, you're going to see that pounded home over and over and over again about this thing literally being a solution. It is a solution to real world problems. This provides users with unparalleled level of trust, efficiency, managing their assets, managing their tokenized assets. Again, we're going to get into that. All right. Before diving into Trade Trust workflow, sure you have the following prerequisites. Like it says, MetaMask wallet, if you choose to do so, don't have to. XDC token balance to cover transaction fees. Wallet on JSON file. I mean, that's a coding language from a long while back, right? Some of you guys are into this. But it goes into some of like all these details, right? And it breaks it down literally on 3 different operating systems. The free one, which is Linux, Mac, and even Windows. It tells you guys, like if you were into this, how to acquire the JSON file and all this information, right? So of course you can nerd it out with that. But what I want to show you guys here before we jump more further down is this next part, okay? And we're going to jump to it right now. And basically speaking, here's a little bit of just that. All right, here it is. Another thing from XDC, Zinfin. All right, it says they, of course, are partnered with what we just mentioned with IMDA. Here's what was officially mentioned a couple days ago that may have been something that you retweeted or you didn't know much about. All right, in regards to Singapore, all right, it states basically this completes the integration with Trade Trust digital utility. Trade Trust framework connects governments, because if you're wondering like, well, how, there's one thing about XDC having connections and the speculative things of, the supply and demand, but is there real connections? Yes, there's real connections. Here's the real connections to governments, businesses, public blockchain, tracing the source and verifying the authenticity of digitally issued documents. So instead of going about things the old-fashioned way, all right, you need to go through this channel, and then this guy needs to sign off. He's going to get back to you on what he's discovered and so on. No. The beautiful thing about Web3 or getting to Web3 is having everything instantaneously verified, right? We talk about making things frictionless. Think about that. The old system, there's a lot of friction, right? There's a lot of red tape, is there not? So yes, having a way to trace the source, verify authenticity of these digital documents, hence, electronics trade documents bill becoming actual law and act, right? It's a big deal. Additionally, XDC is launching a special purpose entity called XDC Trade Network. You can follow them also on crypto Twitter if you choose to do so. They just started not that long ago, only 259 followers, so brand new. But basically, they're focused on interoperability of M-letter solutions and providing liquidity for trade documents developed on M-letter compliant solutions. If you're dealing with, let's face it, I mean, freights of cargo, you name it. Like it could be, one country sending in a bunch of, grain, like how the Ukraine used to do before the whole war. It could be any country, you name it, right? Being able to have verified documents on a blockchain instantaneously with settlement, right? That's a big deal. And let's face it, even XDC is, I believe, 2,000 TPS, right? Ripple's XRP is 1,500. I mean, I'm not really trying to make that big of a deal about it, right? Some people, of course, in the future saying even with XDC, they're going to need to be able to scale up in the future. Hey, I think that's more than doable. If you've been paying attention to some of these things, that is more than doable, right? We're talking about literally a company that's a fork from Ethereum trying to provide more faster, secure solutions, and especially with that military connection, right? We literally refer to this since last year as military grade blockchain, right? Blockchain 4.0. You think that the military is not going to scale? Give me a break. All right. You can nerd it out a little bit more if you choose to do so. Thought I'd show you guys that. Of course, we're not just going to end it just there. I want to show you guys just a tad bit more. Here's this whole thing from Trade Trust themselves. And this is good. This is some of the, I guess you could say, the juicy stuff. All right. So again, please smash that like. Here's the icing on the cake when it comes to some of this XDC recent news. Trade Trust, which was developed by the IMDA, a huge governmental agency in Singapore, and as we know, when it comes to Singapore, they're the most crypto-friendly. They're up there. I should say that they're the most, but they're definitely up there with Dubai, some other places, right? Probably at least in the top 5 when you think about crypto-friendly places. Pounding at home to educate their people about blockchain, distributed ledger technologies. Awesome place. Anyway, this is groundbreaking because it's a way to conduct cross-border transactions and verify documents. Now, when people have mentioned in the past of you need to own the X's, we put so much focus on XRP, right? So much focus on XLM, and rightfully so, don't get me wrong. But they always dominate when it comes to the conversation of cross-border payments. But what about the idea of, conducting cross-border transactions and have things verifiable, right? Not verifiable where it's like literally the World Economic Forum and Klaus coming down and be like, y'all papers, please. No, not centralized, right? But being able to have something that's verifiable on the chain instantaneously. Take out the red tape, right? Being able to solve things, right? That's the big deal. And like he says, before anyone asks, you'll basically need XDC as in the token. Did I not say I was going to talk about this? The token for the transaction fees. Is that the whole concept of having utility-based cryptocurrencies for the actual token that you own, hence the term tokenized assets? You see the utility in motion. So understand that we are at the stage of that supply and demand has dramatically kicked in. What will be the next stage for XDC? This is why, for me personally, and I'm not telling anybody what to do, it's never financial advice. But September 20th is coming up. I'm telling you flat out, this will be the 3rd time in a row. In my opinion, there is enough evidence to support that this. I'm not a big fan of dates, right? Because we know how that worked out, especially when it comes to meme tokens. This is not a meme token. I feel as though that I have to put my focus now on loading up on some XDC, because if I don't, this is where we talk about price shock, supply shock, and so on, right? Why would there be a supply shock? Well, we talked about the liquidity earlier, do we not? So you constantly having utility in motion on monumental scale, worldwide trade, right? This is not just something like some people are stating where, oh, this is only going to affect the UK. No, we talk about the framework. That was the framework. They literally laid it down. Do you think the King Charles is going to sign off on something if he didn't get advised on, look, man, this is going to change worldwide trade? That is supply. That is demand. And being able to have your token be used for the transaction fees, that's big. And look what's highlighted here. Let's understand the workflow. Before diving into the trade trust workflow, ensure you have the following prerequisites. Again, this was taken from the other screen, but a highlight just in case you didn't miss it, or you missed it, you're just tuning in. MetaMask wallet, XDC token balance to do what? Cover transaction fees. Think about how many darn cryptocurrencies you own where you're just getting to the hope of, well, this is a utility-based crypto. This is, but we need to get these partnerships going, and we need these banks, right? You know where I'm going with this. We need to get these banks to sign up, and they're going to use this for on-demand liquidity and all that stuff. Hey, that's great. And I'm a big proponent of it. I think that's life-changing wealth. But this is XDC we talk about here. It deserves to get credit where credit is due. You hold the XDC token to cover transaction fees through the trade sector. And last I checked, that's a multi-trillion-dollar industry. And what do we also see happening recently? You see the institutions recognizing XDC. My God, remember when XDC, I can't believe we're saying this right now, because this was a conversation we talked about over a year ago. Remember when XDC was literally over ranked 200, or then it went to like 150. Then it went to the top 100, right? It's like 45 right now. When is XDC going to be in the top 10? Yeah, you heard me say, how long until XDC is in the top 10? It's not hype. It's not, oh, I just tuned in. This guy is hyping this. This utility speaks for itself. And I'm not going to be on the sideline when they done a third time where it was literally a proven case of buy the rumor, sell the news, whatever you want to call it. 2 last times we have experienced this, March 20th and also July 20th. No, not with FedNow, but with Electronics Trade Documents Bill, now the act, right? Now the next thing, being actually not just implemented, but like going into effect, and how that changes everything, right? There's one thing about getting to the goals of Web3 and all these other great concepts, but you have one that's the start of that example. Is that not bullish in itself? What you guys see here, is that not bullish in itself? I'm not going to harp on this anymore, right? Because at the end of the day, it's not financial advice. I am so excited about XDC.